I was getting a little worried there for a second. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect when some people that I knew on high school who were on Facebook decided that the way they wanted to play with Facebook was to post whatever the hell they wanted, which is fine. And they didn't appreciate that I was correcting stuff that they were posting that was factually incorrect, which was the way that I wanted to play with Facebook. And they didn't like that. Part of this is also to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm known as Shujin Triple all over the place. You can find me under most social media under that name. I was born to a Roman Catholic family in Brooklyn, New York, raised on Long Island. I currently reside outside of Buffalo, New York, and I'm an unabashed atheist. For those of you that are wondering, yes, I did make a minor change to the show. Normally this would be just a regular format, but I've already updated it because of forewarning to be not safe for work. So you've got fair warning at this point. This is not one of our normal Power of 10 episodes. We'll explain if you are willing to listen the rest of the way through in just a little bit. Joining on the roundtable tonight, starting off, of course, as usual, on the left side of North America, up at the top. Good evening, Dallin.
Good evening, folks. Online known as Dallin, born and raised to a Lutheran family up in northern Canada, but religion was not a very big part of my life other than going to church on Sunday. My folks always told me, always encouraged me to continue, always keep learning, always ask questions, and above all, keep an open mind. And that has served me well in my time on this world. And for the most part, I was a very live and let live individual until the people I used to laugh at on TV, read the fundamentalists, started doing some really serious shit down south to a lot of my friends. And I decided at that point it was time to take a side. And I chose the side against them. And call me melodramatic, but I chose the side of humanity.
Moving to the right, across the continent into Ontario. Good morning, Heretic Woman.
Good morning. So I'm in Ontario, Canada, and I came from the United Church of Canada, which is relatively liberal as far as churches go. But as we all do stupid things when we're teenagers, my stupid thing was to join a Calvinist sect. Really don't recommend it. It wasn't too fun. But I figured it out pretty early, and I've been an atheist for 26 years now, and I spend as much time as I can being a pest to every fundamentalist and apologist I can find, and I hope to do that more often and better.
As if you've got enough time considering all the podcasts you do, which is all of them.
Hardest working lady in cyberspace.
Moving down and to the left across the continent over to the U.S. Midwest. Good evening, Bridget.
Good evening. I'm Bridget Fitch. I was born and raised in the South, transplanted to the Midwest. I was raised fundamentalist, and unfortunately it stuck. And my family put the fun and the mental in fundamentalist. At 2003, give or take, I was finally able to get out of that mess, but I'm still in therapy. Hey.
That works out good. Moving to the right, and in this case south of me into Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Joey.
What's so good about it? Good morning, folks. My name's Joe. Was born to an Irish Catholic family in Chicago, Illinois, spent 8 years in the U.S. military, and now I am living in Pittsburgh as a designer and atheist.
Okay. Moving across the water over to France at the moment. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning. I'm just doing everything I can to promote critical thought.
Really, that's it. After all the other openings that you've done, that's what you whittled it down to.
I don't know. I'm not from any country anymore. I don't know.
Okay, fine. That's
even after the first season, you get into season 2 of things. Even the theme songs start to slow down or shorten. So hey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll go with that.
Yeah, the challenge is how to make it even shorter.
See what we can do on that. And a special guest this evening, joining us normally from almost New South Wales. Almost. Don't give me crap about it, all right? Now over in the U.S. and visiting Mr. Nick Morganmore.
That's
Good
my
morning.
name.
Introduce yourself, goddammit.
Okay, former fundamental Pentecostal Christian missionary turned atheist comedian slash podcaster, current humanist feminist vlogger in the American South. I am also the flesh avatar of the kind of half-step adopted son of Glob, Jesus Choice, giving the antis hell and mascotting for the Pledge a Phrase game at the Women's Health Clinic here in Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay. So good to have you all over here. Please forgive me, I was just updating a piece of information that I had gotten. You might notice that we are missing a couple of folks. Chris, I'm not quite sure where he is at the moment. He may be still drunk. It's entirely possible. Don't get me wrong. It's entirely possible. It wouldn't be the first time.
Remind you.
I mean, I know. It is dark stupid in the morning. I know.
Yeah, and plus it's daylight savings time, so it's like probably have to get up at 4 o'clock to do your show.
When is that actually starting for us? I don't think it has.
The first week, I checked. I had to check last night. The first week in November. First Sunday in November.
Okay. That's going to be
Next
fun.
week, technically.
Great.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will.
we can have an extra hour on the show.
No, that'll make our 5 listeners and 1 person who replies just that much happier.
Yeah, you know what? The last thing I want to be doing is to be vying for the same amount of airtime as Atheists on Air. Thank you very much. I really don't want to be doing that. We'll see what happens with that. Meanwhile, Unredo Tech is still driving his way back home, so he will be joining us a little bit late, and we'll see how that plays out. But in the meantime, let me get us started over here with apologies as usual to Noah, Heath, and Lucinda from The Scathing Atheist. With 5 minutes on the clock here, 5-minute freestyle starts here and now. I had announced it that I'm crediting this one to John Barrett, who is someone that I've known for quite a while, and he posted something on Facebook showing a piece of plumbing that he changed out himself. Now, for those of you that know full well what I'm talking about, don't ruin the bit just yet. But he apparently had a leak under one of his faucets, under the sink, I should say, in the piping that goes straight down, curves around, and then goes to the output for the rest of the plumbing, the exhaust, shall we say. And he took a picture of it and posted it up and said, basically, here I am. I'm an adult now, man. I changed my plumbing. This is the piece that I changed out, and I'm the only one that apparently scraped the bottom of the barrel, and I'm waiting for Nick to go ahead and react to this one. I had to use the old trope. It's a trap. Because that's what he changed. He changed the trap on his plumbing.
Fair enough.
So, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's the question that we're always asked, isn't it? We're always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, man. I wanted to go to the moon. Apollo 11, I was born just in time to be able to watch Apollo 11. And even though I have no memory of it, I got to see it on a dinky 13-inch diagonal black and white television set with tubes in it. You kids have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But we had a television set that was black and white with a old-style CRT on it, mono audio, and I got to see the moon landing. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be up there. And, of course, my dad was a cop, so, being a cop wouldn't be so bad either. It's the usual stuff that we hope for. You know, that we strive for something that's maybe not necessarily attention-getting, although that, you know, it's always a wonderful thing, but something that's going to make a difference. And then we get older, and the reality sets in. We can't be all of those things. It's simply a physical impossibility. There's so many of us on this rock, and just so many places that we can go and fit into. And we don't necessarily have all of the skills that are available for it. We don't have all the abilities that some of these people do. I mean, for crying out loud, the first man to walk on the moon was a test pilot. You know what test pilots do? They get into an aircraft and they try to find out, can they break it? Think about that a second. Do you really want to be in an aircraft screaming along at Mach 1.5 and suddenly have the wings rip off, and then that's part of your job to come back in one piece, hopefully, and then fill out all the paperwork that says, yeah, this is what happened to it when I was pushing it a little bit too hard, and apparently the envelope that the engineers gave me didn't match up with reality. It's his job. He almost died, and the guys were like, you know, Neil, you should come out to the bar with us and drink. I mean, you almost died today. And he put his head down back over his desk, and he's just, I got all this paperwork to finish up first. The reality of being an adult sucks. I mean, really, really, it does. When you're a kid, the world is open to you, man. You could be anything you want to be. And that's one of the fun parts about Halloween. When you're a kid, when you act like a kid, you can be anything you want to be. And you don't have to grow up at that point. But when it's over, when you get older, when you get old, the reality sets in, and how sad is it? What are you going to be when you grow up? I got news for you. I'm fast approaching 50. I don't know. I know what I'd like to do. I'd like to be a leather worker. I trained. I actually know my stuff. I've got rawhide still back over in here from Australia that I kind of smuggled through customs a little bit. But even though it's not going to the moon, at least it's something that I would enjoy. And how many people can actually say, I'm a motherfucking leather worker? How many people you know like that? There's a certain amount of notoriety to go with along with that. Sad part of it is, you can't buy a costume for that line of work. Oh well. This is episode number 86 on the docket, Your Honor. Trolling for dollars. Yeah, I was otherwise...
I need to just shit all over everything that you just said. I'm sorry, but as a small child, my dad referred to me as his Joker. And all I ever wanted to do when I grew up was tell jokes. And it just sucks that that dream went away and I became a comedian.
Screw you.
I mean, the other thing that I wanted to do was hook up with a badass, short, bright, red-haired feminist, and you know, whoa, that didn't really pan out either. I'm just with Sandy over here, so you know, whatever's.
Which, by the way, I have to stop right over here because I almost forgot. Almost. I asked Tiny Tribble if there was anything she wanted me to pass along to you. So, for Tiny Tribble's behalf, I have to let you know that she said, dye the mustache.
Diet?
Yes.
I am on a diet, but a diet of American food.
I'm so gonna have her hurt you.
Let me show you the diet of American, just one second. Delicious American pizza.
What,
It is the most disgusting thing that I have ever put inside my body. And I did once eat cockroaches. So this
You
is,
have to wait for it to get
this
cold.
is for you, Tiny. I am on my diet. I got some on the stuff, so I for you.
You know full well what she meant, you pain in my ass. And she's going to be looking this up later, so you know full well what she meant.
Oh, dude, like you gave the NSFW warning. I have a joke to tell.
Well, you can hold off on it for just a couple of moments, just a couple of pieces of housekeeping before you get started over here. I was about to say get guardedly started, and what the hell is coming through my face tonight? It's going to be one of those nights. Quick one then. Heretic woman, you know what's coming. You know what the answer is going to be, unfortunately, all too well, same as the rest of us. Where the hell is Rafe Badawi?
Still in fucking jail.
Which means, as of the recording of this show, it has now been 3 years, 4 months, 8 days. We are still hoping for you, man. We're really, really still hoping for you. See how this plays out. So, trolling for dollars, like I was about to say, episode 86. 86 is typically the shorthand for get rid of it, shelve it. For those of you that remember the TV show Get Smart, no, I am not recognizing the second Get Smart movie. Yes, the second one was Steve Carell. There was one other. There was one other one that was done with Don Adams. I saw it in the movie theaters. It was called The Nude Bomb. You don't believe me? Look it the fuck up.
No, I actually did see it.
Yeah, it was. It was only slightly better than Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. Only slightly better than The Phantom Menace.
That's a real shame. I was a huge fan of the original series. The original series was so well written, so well constructed. So it's a real kick in the pants to find out that they made a movie and it sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So anyway, when Nick had said that he was going to be here in the States and he was going to be available for whenever, it took a little while for me to decide, you know what, let's give him some time to, ease into having all these people vying for his attention because, we're special that way. I like to, think that about myself. Shut up. It's my fantasy life. Shut the hell up. So now that we've finally gotten him, and he got in touch with me and said, look, there's some stuff that's been pissing us off really bad. Are we allowed to say fuck? You know what? I put up the warning. So yes, you can say fuck all you want tonight. Fuckity fuck. How's that? Is that a good starting off point for you? You're going to keep going from there. And he dropped off.
Does this mean I have to put my wine in the water bottle now?
Have to? No, but if whatever works for you, hon, I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. So Nick will be rejoining us apparently momentarily, just like that.
Fuckity fuck. Jesus Choice won't stand around and listen to that sort of potty mouthery, you cunt.
Glob, damn it! You just killed our rating.
Wow.
Oh,
all right.
Speaking of which, I did want to post a little bit of an update. I was looking at Facebook recently, and Shuja and I have a mutual friend who also does the clinic escort thing, just in Minnesota, I believe.
Good.
Yeah. Well, she's been doing it for quite a while. She glommed onto. She finally saw one of the posters for her pledge of phrase.
Good. We want it to spread.
Her message, and I quote, "Fuck, we need to do something like this."
Yes, they do. Yes, absolutely they do.
Yeah.
Just to fill in some people about the backstory of it, the details that they might be missing. So I came over here for a number of reasons, primarily to spend time with my beautiful girlfriend Zandy. And while I'm here, my plan was to do some gigs and get involved with local activism. And the first gig that I did was a benefit for the Powerhouse. Now, Powerhouse stands for People Organizing for Women's Empowerment and Rights. It's a house that is located next door to a women's reproductive health clinic. Now, a few months back, Operation Save America came and picketed a bunch of these clinics that provide abortions, and this was one of them, and they attempted to rent the house. And this would be incredibly unsafe because from the backyard of the house, it's a clear line of sight to the staff entry, and it would give them legal grounds to film over the fence, the clinic, the people coming in, everyone parking, all of it. The aunties who are out the front film patients every day. It is disgusting. It's an intimidation tactic. And so this would just give them even that little bit more. And so a very generous benefactor paid for the rent to get the house started. And now we're raising money to keep that rent, keep that house going, and we use that house as a safe zone for friends and family of people, of the women who are in the health clinic having their abortion procedures done, and also sometimes aftercare. If they're not ready to go home straight away, they can hang out in the house. It's a quiet, safe place, free from harassment. We have a waffle iron, we make muffins, we make coffees, we look after the women in there and their partners and often children. Very often people don't have daycare to put their kids in. They have to take time off work, and so their partner will have to mind their child, their young child, while they are having their procedure done. And so we give them a very safe place, free from harassment, to go to, which is important because there's anti-choice forced birther bigots on the streets screaming at people that they're murderers, that they're going to burn in hell. One of the lines that I heard one of these people say, this is a quote, a woman walked out of the clinic holding her child so that she could drop her child with her husband off at the house next door, and he said, "Y'all might as well take that baby down to the river and drown it because you're already a murderer." So this is the kind of hateful, vitriolic fucktardery that we're facing here in Alabama. And so my first day as a clinic escort, I just did as the clinic escorts do. I had a big umbrella. I'd see the aunties yelling at these women, trying to film them. I'd pop open the umbrella. I'd go over and just stick it in the auntie's face, and I'd stand there until the women went past to stop them from filming and to shut them up. The aunties didn't like it, but there's not a lot that they can do about it. We got really sick of it. We've been really sick of it. They've been really sick of it there for a long time, and as a filthy comedian, I'm always down for some trolling. So, and it was actually Zandy, and you know, she wishes she could be here. She is. She's not feeling very well tonight, so she had to go to bed early. But she's the mastermind behind Pledge a Phrase, and it's because they just say the most horrible things to us. My first week there, one of these aunties came up to me in a group of women, and he said, "Y'all must have been molested. That's why you're baby murderers, and y'all are gonna burn in hell." And let me tell you, my commitment to being a non-violent person was tested. But I thought about it, and I realized that, no, they want me to hit them, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do something so much worse than that. And so we put our heads together, and Zandy, one of them yelled out at Zandy, and she just cracked the shits, and she turned around, and she said, "Because you said that, I'm donating $50 towards abortion." And he shut up.
Bingo.
Shut up. And she went ding, and she got her markers. She's a full-blown activist, right? So she's got poster boards and Sharpies in her car at all times. And she pulls out one of these poster boards and picks up the Sharpie, and she writes down the 5 most common phrases that this guy yells at people. Don't kill your baby. Be a man. The men who are walking in with women. Be a man. Don't let her do this. Love your baby. So all of these things down as a tally, and we started keeping tally, and we just started putting it online straight away. We started hitting Twitter, hitting Facebook, letting people know what was going on at the clinic, and people latched onto it and got involved. And meanwhile, I was thinking about it, and these guys, they're just such assholes. I needed a way to tell them what they were doing was wrong, But from my first week there at the clinic, I'd made the decision that I was never going to talk to them. Nick Morgan Moore was never going to talk to any of these aunties. And then a miracle happened. Almighty Glob opened up the ceiling of my bedroom, and down came his spiritual, flowing, gloopy essence, and it filled me from within, and I became the flesh avatar of Glob's half-adopted, semi-kind of son, Jesus Choice. And so I got out there as Jesus Choice, and my question to the aunties was, why do you think it's appropriate to harass women? Why are you harassing women? Why?
Okay. Now,
And,
this is the point where, as host, I'm going to pause you for a couple of seconds. Now, for those of you that have not had the opportunity of seeing Jesus Choice in the flesh, which I assume that it is flesh instead of bread. I mean, you did go through everything. You made sure that it was flesh, not bread or.
Oh, Zandy made sure that I was flesh that morning before we went out. It was fine.
Okay, good.
Bye.
Yeah, well, that's entirely possible. Now, if you haven't yet had the opportunity of seeing him in person, you would most likely be able to find him not just on YouTube and not just on Twitter, but on the YouTube and Twitter and Facebooks of at least one of the fundies, as well as Christian news sites. Now, Heretic Woman, you had the opportunity of seeing some of this. What did you think of the news coverage?
Oh, it was beautiful. And the funny part is, because, I mean, I've been debating abortion online for 8-9 years now. So, I mean, I've heard it all, I've seen it all as far as the interwebs go, and so I get on the Buddy's channel, because he filmed he filmed Jesus Choice, and, you know, they had a little exchange, and Buddy put it up on his channel, and, you know, I got on there, and I'm like, why do you think it's okay, same thing, why do you think it's okay to harass women, Buddy? And I'm like, it's not about any, quote, babies or embryos or any of that shit. It's all about you, and it's all about you kissing up for your fake God, because that's why you're there, because you're kissing God's ass and go, oh, look at me, I'm harassing people. But anyway, I got on there, I made one comment, I went back the next day, comments disabled.
Oh,
Funny.
don't you worry, we got screen caps of all of those comments. We knew. As soon as he put it up, I saw it and I went, you know what, that's fine. I had footage from another angle that shows him in the shot as well, because from where he was holding it, you could just see me. I am a very handsome man, so it is a very good video. But I put it up on the Jesus Choice channel, where you could see the both of us having our interaction. And I put up the full conversation, everything that I recorded, and you know, it was the same amount as what he recorded, because I'm not ashamed of anything that I said. I went out there and I said, and all I was asking is why he thinks it's okay to harass women. That's it. And all of the comments, and actually I didn't know that you were one of the commenters there, but I didn't know any of these commenters, and there was dozens of them, all of them in favor. Just these randos come out of the woodworks, and they saw this video, and they just started commenting about how much they supported what I was doing and how much of an idiot this guy was. And my
favorite picture was the one you posted of Buddy with his megaphone on the ground, and he's all like, oh.
Yes. Yes. That's the Pledge a Phrase game at work, guys. It has taken the wind out of their sails. I'll just tell you, we keep referring to things as the miracles of Jesus Choice, and I turned up on the clinic day this week, and within 20 minutes he had packed up and left. Now, he usually hangs out, it was a full 2 hours earlier than he usually leaves, because he likes to harass the women on the way into the clinic, and then he likes to really rub it in on the way out. So on the way in, don't do this, you'll be a murderer, and on the way out, you're a murderer and you're going to hell, you need to repent. And these women, after he left, got to leave the clinic without being harassed, and I got to go and make waffles for people. It was a wonderful day. I got to hang out with people, making waffles, cracking jokes. It was fine. It was what that house should be if the aunties weren't out there. But while the aunties are going to be out there, I'm going to be dressing up as Jesus Choice, and I'm going to be asking some hard questions like, why do you think it's okay to harass women? And
Okay, now let's take another piece on this one. Bridget, you are also one of the other women on the panel at the moment. Yes, it's only 2 right now, but as someone who's had to hear all the crap and has seen a whole bunch of the shit that's happened out your side of the neighborhoods, how much does this warm the cockles of your heart right there? Yes, Joey, I'm making reference to you directly. You should be smiling right now. You know what I'm talking about.
I wish Nick could swing up here for a few days because we need him, and I really applaud what he's doing.
Well, Jesus Choice would love to go on the road. I'm going to keep building it up, and eventually, hopefully I can make it fit in with a comedy tour where I can travel around as Jesus Choice, visiting the various clinics and doing stand-up comedy in each of the towns that I'm at. So that's the plan.
That would be awesome.
That is the plan. That'll be next year. As soon as I can organize it, that's the plan.
So
I'm almost disappointed that we don't have anywhere to do that.
Because you guys have got exclusion zones?
Oh, hell no. We have no abortion law. Abortion is a done deal in Canada. It's also publicly funded by the public health. So there is you go to the hospital for an abortion. There's one in town here that I know of for sure. I'm sure there are other places, but occasionally, and the interesting thing is it's not a normal hospital, it's actually a mental health facility that also provides abortions on site as well. And it's up on a hill, it's got trees all around it, one driveway in, and anybody who really, really wants to protest, they can stand in the ditch across the street. And anytime, I've never seen more than 6 people there, and every single time we've driven by, one of the cars ahead of me have honked their horn and given them the finger. And the last time I saw somebody, it was some bedraggled old lady with this really sad-looking sign, standing in the ditch in the rain. And it's just a non-issue here. And I'm glad it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
But I would love, love, love to be an escort because I stand those fucks, and I would love to get in their face. But
women here where I live can't even get a tubal ligation.
It's ridiculous.
And the hospitals will do it.
That's ridiculous.
Just thinking to myself, if I had the money, I would actually go down there and escort for a weekend or some shit.
If you ever travel in, just see what's going on where you're at, because there's always a need, be it clinic escorting or whatever is necessary in that area. I mean, I'm in Alabama, and I'm disgusted by the way that this state treats women. It's not just the abortion issue. It's all women's rights. Women are treated like worse than second-class citizens. It is disgusting, and Jesus Choice has a few things to say about it. So this isn't just stuck down with the abortion issue. No, I will, as Jesus Choice, be addressing many of these issues that face women in the South, because it needs addressing. And as a male feminist, I know that the biggest part of my job is to listen. And so what I'm doing is I'm here listening to the women, listening to the need, and then asking what they would like me to do, and working with the amazing women here in this state to try and make a bit of change.
Okay, now, because it was brought up, because I heard a woman had said that for Canada, it's a done deal, and the way that it's dealt with, and what Nick has talked about so far, I want to get a couple of other pieces on this one also, because there's a lot of different areas that we get to talk to, and it's really important to make sure that we get a much more full understanding of what is and what isn't being done, and where and how we feel about it. Joseph, for you guys in France, if I don't recall off the top of my head what the situation for anything like Planned Parenthood or
it's just an integral part of everyday healthcare. Everyone's. There's no line of separation at all.
It's basically a non-issue.
Non-issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Dallin, I mean, for you guys up there, it's a non-issue. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like she was saying.
Like I walk by every lunch hour at work. I go for a walk, and my walk actually takes me by a hospital. So I go by the same hospital every single day. I don't see protesters. In fact, I see patients outside having a smoke, which, well, whatever. But I don't see people out there picketing, saying that people are going to hell. And part of me wonders if, like Heretic Woman said, for us, abortions are handled within the confines of a hospital. I don't know if that is common knowledge to a lot of people, so maybe protesters don't know where to protest, but...
Well, you might find that the protesters are congregating at the at Parliament. I'll just add, I did get to interview one of my personal heroes yesterday, Fiona Patton, who is the head of the Australian Sex Party, and she is the reason that they are pushing through legislation for exclusion zones to ensure that that protesters can't get around the clinics in Victoria in Australia.
Yeah.
And she was telling me that the main protesters aren't at the clinics, they're actually at Parliament House trying to convince the politicians to take away women's rights. And
We've already done that here.
yeah. So you might find that they'll be at the State House. She did tell me a very interesting story about some people who are doing a similar thing to me, only instead of dressing up as Jesus, they are very flamboyant drag queens. And they got out there alongside the protesters, and the protesters, for some reason, got incredibly uncomfortable and decided not to come back the next day.
I can't imagine why.
Yes. So if I can find a sprangly enough frock, I might even, Jesus Choice might even get out there and do a bit of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, for the antis. If I can find a sparkly enough frock.
I'm suddenly so glad my ex-wife made me watch that movie so that I get the reference.
So the last piece of it all, since Nick is all too well versed with it at this point, you're off of this one. Joey, we come to Pittsburgh once a year on the pilgrimage for Anthracon, and I've made no surprise to anybody about it. I mean, it's not even a hidden thing or anything.
Well, I just live here.
Yeah. And just a couple of blocks away from Anthracon's main locale, there is a clinic right over there, and we walk by it. Well, the last couple of years, I've been organizing a thing called Breakfast with Fred. Saturday morning, we get together, what feels like stupid in the morning, and we walk down to the train station to go have breakfast at the foot of the statue of Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. And we go down Liberty, and across the street is the clinic. Mm-hmm. And like Nick was alluding to, what's right there on the sidewalk?
They have the little half semicircle that acts as, the legal boundary. If you want to picket it, if you want to protest, if you want to do anything of that sort, you have to stay outside that boundary.
That's the thing that really bothers the hell out of me. Fuck it. What bothers the shit out of me. Not because I'm a feminist, not because I am pro-choice, not because of any other reason other than, why do we even need this? For something that is legal in these United States of America. And yes, I'm doing the dick flag waving for a second here because it's my fucking country, where it is a complete and legal right. There's nothing wrong with this in any legal sense of the word. If there's a moral aspect to it, you know what? It's the individual people's moral decision to come to, and it sounds to me like they came to it.
Well, unfortunately, here the law doesn't matter.
And
if you are pregnant and 3 or 4 weeks pregnant and something is wrong with the fetus, you are not allowed to terminate, period.
Oh, we're going to come to that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Heretic Woman, you had something else to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really, Danielle Moscato who, if anybody doesn't know, used to be, I think it was PR director for American Atheist. But she, I just read on her Facebook page not very long ago a really brilliant post, and she said that, because a lot of us sort of go, well, they're not really pro-life because most of them are for capital punishment or that kind of shit. They're not really pro-life because the other thing is the minute they force somebody to gestate and there's a baby here, an actual baby, they don't give a fuck anymore because they don't want to do anything to support that. Yeah. And Danielle made a really good point. They are, and I forget how she worded it now, but it was something, they were slut shamers. That's basically what they are. Mm-hmm. They want to prevent women from having sex, and if they have sex, there must be a consequence, and that consequence is you must have a child. So if you're not going to have a child, you're not going to have sex, and that's all they fucking care about.
It's entirely control. It is entirely control. One of the aunties, just a story from just the other week, one of these women on a non-clinic day, so they're not performing abortions, the aunties are still out there, still harassing women. A woman was on her way into the clinic, and he said, "Don't go in there." And she said, "I'm getting birth control," and he said, "Birth control turns women into objects."
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yes. And another time, one of the clinic escorts asked him, I even think it was Zandy, I'm sorry, it's very late here, I'm a bit foggy, but one of the escorts was probably Zandy. She said to him, what's wrong with that? And he said, what's wrong with birth control? And he said, birth control means that people can have sex without consequence, which means that women will just have sex for pleasure.
And I would have turned to that bastard and said, and I do it every fucking day I can, too.
Now, there's a piece of this that I wanted to hit on, and you gave me the dovetail that I needed. If women with birth control are turned into objects, what happens to the rape victim at 14 years old in Ireland who becomes an object of the state, of the law, who is disallowed from having a life-saving abortion?
Because those are the people that are becoming an object to their fucking fake god. And that they don't care.
That is the one that pisses me off so badly. You want to go ahead and you want to make the argument... Hold on a second.
Yeah.
You want to make the argument that women are an object at that point because they can do whatever the hell it is that they want. First off, how the hell can an object do whatever the hell it wants? But you know what? Let me grant you that one for a second. You want to talk about women are becoming an object, a sex object? You're making them an object. You're making them a victim of the gun that you've pointed at their head with your own damn legislation, which was put into place by at least a 70+% male legislative body in Ireland, if I remember the statistics correctly.
And they're trying to force women to have babies here. They're trying to turn women into a baby-making machine. That is an object. They aren't giving them choice, which is the thing that makes them a person.
Yep.
And
it's win-win.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, it's win-win for them because, while they're protesting and all that, they're getting all the PR, which for me is their entire goal of being out there. And, if a woman has an unwanted child and it ends up in how do you say that in English? An orphanage.
Yeah.
Well, it's win-win for them because orphanages are the biggest source of, to fill the ranks of the priesthood.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it depends on the denomination. A lot of these guys are just, especially in the South, they're Baptists and Pentecostals, so they just want women to not have any choices. It's not really. I did make the point to them when I was down there as Jesus' Choice. I said to them if they wanted to actually make a difference, because Jesus' Choice is helpful. I'm not just getting out there and spouting off my mouth. I want the liberal Christians in the state, because there's a lot of them, to be able to get behind the message of Jesus' Choice, which is if you actually want to reduce the birth rate, the abortion rate, if you think that that's a bad thing, go down to the State House and fight for people to make a fucking living wage so they can afford to have kids if they so choose to. That way people won't be getting abortions out of anguish and fear that they won't be able to provide for their child. Now, any reason that a woman makes the choice to not have a child, to have a termination, to have an abortion, that is her right and that is her business. That's none of our business. But if a woman is making that decision out of fear and anguish, then that breaks my heart. So let's deal with that. That's one thing that I could get behind. That's one piece of common ground that I could have, possibly, with these bigots, except that they don't care about that. They only care about controlling women.
Well, that and a lot of these professional protesters, they rely on their patrons, like for GoFundMe and stuff like that.
Yes.
They're not going to get funded if they go to the State House. They're only going to get funded when they're basically being paid to be douchebags.
This is true, and this is why the Powerhouse and the amazing clinic escorts who work at the Powerhouse took a whole heap of sidewalk chalk and wrote all over the sidewalk leading up to where the protesters are, with various messages, one of which said paid protesters. They didn't like that. Another one that they wrote said Jesus is a feminist, because they may be referring to this Jesus, but anyway. And the liberal Christians, they think that Jesus would be a feminist. Personally, I'm an atheist, but, as playing the character of Jesus' Choice, yeah, I'm a feminist. They didn't like that one so much that they came over and they rubbed out the word Jesus. That's the one that they rubbed out. So that was very funny. We've had to replace the word Jesus 3 times so far because they keep rubbing out the word Jesus, which you'd think would be a sin, but anyway, it's all good, and yeah.
So let's take a couple of seconds to really make sure that we're looking about this correctly. One of the biggest problems that people end up having with, and I'm going to use the term Planned Parenthood simply because it's the most recognizable, even if it's not the most accurate term. I don't know what would be the right
women's health clinics. Women's health clinics. Planned Parenthood is one of the largest providers of reproductive health, but reproductive health clinics would be the correct term. And I would encourage people to use that term because there are a lot of clinics that aren't affiliated with Planned Parenthood, and there are some problems with Planned Parenthood. Not referring to those videos. There are other issues, and I actually do encourage everyone who's watching now to listen to the latest episode of Promoting Secular Feminism, PSFs, with special guest Zandy, because she does go into some of that.
Okay, so you will forgive me if I don't really remember. I have, again, for us over here on the East Coast, it is just approaching 1 a.m. So I've been sick for the last 2 weeks now, so forgive me just a little bit. But if we're going to be dealing with these organizations, it's probably a good idea to get an idea as to what it is that they do, and to make sure that we understand what the purpose of it all is and what it does. When you follow that train all the way down to the last station, so to speak.
If I can speak to some of that, I've been very involved. Oh, okay, you wanna?
Yes, I will get to you. Don't worry about it. Yes, you're a guest, but Jesus.
Yes, you're a guest, but whenever you're on a show, you talk the entire time. It's okay, I do it to every show I'm a guest on.
We're the guests today.
No idea what you're talking about. I'm sure Jake is watching somewhere. He's just like,
you wouldn't believe this last week's episode of Imaginary Friends.
I'll wait for it.
I can't wait for my podcatcher.
Oh, starring the crap crew.
Yes.
the crap crew. So there you go.
So we'll see what happens.
I was just mentioned too. I'm sorry, but when you were talking about Ireland before too, one of the cases that just burns my ass unbelievably was the woman who actually had a miscarriage and they wouldn't remove the dead fetus and she died.
Yes.
If I can one up that, I'm currently in Alabama, where a woman who was in a domestic violence situation miscarried, was too afraid to tell her partner, probably because he was maybe the reason that she miscarried, so she buried the body herself and then was charged with murder.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah. So the SPLC is currently involved. The Southern Poverty Law Center has gotten involved, and so it doesn't matter. They're attacking women. The state, the government is attacking women now. This is the kind of things that they're pushing through as an intimidation tactic. This was a miscarriage, and this woman was charged with murder. And they've recently introduced new legislation so they can charge women with harming their fetuses if they do anything, like being a smoker. If a woman is a smoker and she somehow gets pregnant, then she is currently a criminal and could face penalties under the law.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whether she knows she's pregnant or not.
All right, we'll get to these in just a couple of seconds. Joining us at this point, as I'd mentioned earlier, Chris from England. Thank you.
Hi, guys.
I was getting a little worried that maybe you were, I don't know, hungover, still drunk, high on LSD, something like that. You doing good this morning?
No, not drunk. I got back late last night from Manchester Science Festival, and I seem to have slightly screwed up the changing of the clocks.
Oh, admit it. You were just late having your breakfast of dead baby.
That was it.
No, I'm fresh out of dead baby at the moment.
Oh, well, we'll have to see what we can do about that for you. So, give yourself a quick introduction so that we can get going along over here.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm Chris from England. Was raised basically slightly Catholic, but it never really took. Been skeptical and interested in science my whole life, and but ignored most of the political and social aspects of it until recently, until I started seeing the kind of thing that Nick's just been talking about, which got me rather pissed off.
Perfect timing. And also, finally joining us, as I had mentioned earlier, Unrenewed Tech. So say a quick hi and introduce yourself real quickly, and we'll get it along. Tech.
Hey guys. I can hear you now. What's up?
Okay. Give a quick introduction for yourself, and we'll move along for the next section of this.
Okay. My name is Unknown Tech. I'm an atheist. I tried several different religions and studied a bunch more. Found out they're all full of shit. I was listening in on the beginning of the show, so fuck. But Nick Morganmore, you should know better. Cunt is not fuck. Therefore, it's probably not part of the approved word list. We'll work on it later. You can ask Joey for help. He knows the whole list.
The word cunt isn't a dirty word where I'm from.
Oh, good. Carry on then.
Well, and like Kevin Bloody Wilson always said, you can't say cunt in Canada either.
Why not?
Even wrote
You
a song
can't say
about it.
bogan in Canada.
Okay. So we'll keep that.
Very different meanings between Australia and Canada, the word bogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't say Canada, they look at you funny.
All right, so let's refer to these clinics as clinics first and foremost, and leave it kind of generically that way for a moment. One of the big things about these protests are about abortion. That is the biggest, literally, it is the biggest contention for some otherwise unknown reason. Now, it's not really unknown. We know what the arguments are. We know why all of this fucknuttery has been going on. But considering that, as I mentioned earlier, in the United States, having a medical procedure is not illegal, which an abortion is a D&C, dilation and...
Curettage.
Okay, thank you. I've always remembered it as a D&C, which I've forgotten what it means at this point.
Yeah, dilation and curettage.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you kill that baby, it may not grow up to be a good Christian.
If you don't kill that baby, it could grow up to be an anti-choice protester.
It could grow up to be gay.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a T-shirt that I love, and it has a picture, a silhouette of an embryo done in rainbow, and it says, "May the embryo you save be gay and proud."
Their bumper sticker, I've seen this become very popular. It says, "If the child you save is gay, would you still save it?"
Yeah.
Now,
If I can speak to the to my impression of the antis here in the South, they are very much the trifecta. They aren't just anti-choice; they are also very much homophobic and quite racist. They make a lot of yeah. It's surprising, but there it is. But it's just my interpretation of what I've seen here so far. There's some pretty disgusting things going on.
now there's a piece about all this that I've quite literally never uttered before to anyone. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it out there at this point because it's, for me, germane. Before my wife and I had our baby, Tiny Tribble, as most of the guys have known, she went through 2 miscarriages. We did not anticipate that. We were rather heartbroken, as you can well imagine. My wife especially so the second time. The first time was difficult because we thought, okay, this is it, and it didn't take, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. And because of that, she had to go in for D&C to make sure that everything was okay and quote-unquote reset. The second time was heartrending because she was unsure if she was pregnant, and it turned out that she was, and she went, I forget what the occasion was at the time, but we ended up on an amusement park ride, and it was rather energetic, and she got off feeling wrong, I guess is the only way that she was really able to describe it. And please forgive me, we're now talking 13 years into the past, a little bit more than that, and, well, she's not here anymore to tell us exactly what it was, but it was heartrending for her because it was the guilt of I thought I was going to be okay, but I really thought maybe I shouldn't, and then I got off and I knew something was wrong. I just knew something was wrong. And it was heartrending because she was sure that she did it. She did it to herself, and she caused this. And she had to go, again, back to be checked out, and again, for D&C in order to make sure that everything was okay and everything was quote-unquote reset. And I'm not using the term quite accurately here. Please forgive me. Again, like I said, we're talking almost 15 years into the past, and, well, a lot of shit's happened since that intervening time.
Not only that, you're not a doctor.
True.
We're all laymen, so to speak, here.
Yeah. Now, the reason why...
Nick is a comedian, so, we'll forgive him.
Well, it's okay. But the point of it is, the procedure in question is virtually identical. It's not exactly, but the overall effect is the same.
Mm-hmm.
It is the cleansing, and I'm not using the right terminology, so anybody who is a medically trained in any way, shape, or form, please forgive me. It is a cleansing of the uterus. It is a reset for lack of a better way of putting it, and it ensures that there is nothing left at that point that could cause a problem. And there are a host of possible problems that can come of it.
Make sure that all of the any fetal tissue has been removed, because if anything is left behind, even a small bit, it's basically going to start rotting in there, and it's going to cause all kinds of infections and that sort of thing. So that's why, and the dilation part, of course, is so that they can get in there with the instrumentation that they need and to get a good view and make sure that everything is removed and, as you say, cleaned out pretty much, and so that the uterus can begin to heal and get back to a semblance of normalcy.
Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I want it to be clear that I don't hold the position that I do because I am a rah, go ahead and clean everything out and scrape everything off and do all this stuff because ideological point of view. I want it clearly known that I recognize that it is an uncomfortable, emotional position for some people. For some, maybe not so much, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But for women in my wife's situation, it hurt. Emotionally, it hurt a lot. And physically, it was not the most comfortable thing in the world. Was she screaming in bloody murder? No. But at the same time, this is not something that you really want to be going through, generally speaking. Now, there are, of course, all kinds of people in all kinds of stripes that are going to be doing whatever it is that they're going to do for whatever reason. But a DNC is a pretty invasive procedure. Guys, think about it this way. If somebody were to put an inflatable tube up your urethra and inflate it a little bit, that's going to become uncomfortable. Let's just start right there. Let's not even get into the rest of the procedure. But if you had your penis inflated from the inside and expanded out, you're going to notice that. You're going to feel that.
Well, let's just add one thing to this, and that's that in many of these states where they're systematically stripping women's rights away, they are mandating medically unnecessary transvaginal ultrasounds. So not only do you have to deal with that on the day of your procedure, but you have to go in 3 days earlier. You have to get counseling, most of which isn't agreed with by the doctors who are mandated by law to give you that counseling on your other options, as if you didn't know that before going into a reproductive health clinic. And then you have to have a wand inserted inside of you medically unnecessarily. Now, there are times when the transvaginal ultrasound can get a clearer image, and it is necessary. However, it's not in all cases, and it is an invasion of women's bodies and rights and privacy, and so much that this is mandated by law in these primarily southern states.
And there's one thing to require an ultrasound to ensure the age of the fetus, if it's in question, whether it's around cutoff period.
And they also have to show the image to the woman and say, are you sure you want to kill the baby? Are you sure you want to kill the baby? See it? You see the baby? Are you sure you want to kill the baby?
There's one thing to do it because you want to be sure that the timing is correct, but as I say, it's a whole other fucking thing when they, like you say, want to go, look, it's a baby, don't you want to kill, don't kill it. And that's
Let me just add as well that there are some of these clinics who will perform the transvaginal ultrasound that don't perform abortions, that are fake clinics set up to trap women to shame them out of getting an abortion. They are set up all over the state. They don't have protesters out the front of them because they're run by religious organizations, and if women go in there, they will be given an ultrasound. They will have their clothes taken from them so that they can have an ultrasound, and then they will not be given their clothes back until they get lectured on why sex is wrong and why they are a slut. So
Burn
fuck
those
those
fucking places to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
those two.
we're not the antis. We don't do that, unlike the other side. Okay? We don't do that, unlike the antis who have done that and are continuing to attack clinics. There was one just this week that had equipment, it was broken into, and equipment, electronics, and plumbing were destroyed with a hatchet. And not to mention, in Ohio, they successfully defunded Planned Parenthood. Now, does anybody here know what the Hyde
They did that in
Amendment
Texas
is?
too, by the way.
Yeah.
Not only did they do that in Texas, but they've also subpoenaed patients' medical records in Texas. So, invasion of
And there's
privacy.
HIPAA laws about that.
Do you guys know, and this is all spurred by the fake Planned Parenthood videos. They were shown to be inaccurate and false and misleading, falsified. I'm very proud that the news organization that broke that story was also the one that broke the story of Jesus' choice. But do you guys know what the Hyde Amendment is?
Mm-hmm.
The Hyde Amendment means that no federal dollars go towards abortions. So that what Ohio and Texas have done is they have defunded cancer screenings.
Screening and birth
Birth
control.
control.
Providing, all kinds of other things like pap smears and for low-income women.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. Because if you've got money, you can go to any doctor and get that shit. But and it's the low, and this is what burns my ass about these people so much, is they will break their fucking back to force a woman to have that baby, but the minute the kid comes out of the womb, oh, well, we don't want to give anything to you. You're fucking poor. And if you're poor, that must be your fault, so we're not going to do shit. And that's why they are nothing to do with protecting life.
Yeah.
That's
Joe
why
Carlin did a whole skit on that. He did a skit on about the politicians didn't want wanted the kids born, but they didn't give a shit about the kids until they were old enough to join the military. And you know, you look around at this stuff and you go, oh shit, he's not kidding.
No.
Yeah, now,
No,
there's-
it's really
now,
not.
let's go ahead and talk about a couple of these pieces that these various clinics provide and do at low or no cost, subsidized in one way or another, and really quickly kind of go through a couple of these and figure out what's the good and the bad for them being done versus not being done. You mentioned one of them, Nick, for heretic women. You mentioned about cancer screening.
Well, we both did, but
Oh, okay. Let me get you. What kind of screenings would happen? I'm assuming mammogram would be one of them.
mammogram, pap smears, not sure what else. But anything that would be female specific, I'm assuming. So they probably screen, like a pap smear screens for cervical cancer. They probably can screen for ovarian cancer. I would imagine even things to do like bladder cancer, that kind of stuff, where, you know, having access to female reproductive organs would be a bonus. But and like as you said, mammograms for sure, or even just breast exams, that sort of thing.
But they also give like STI tests to men too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Transmitted diseases. Yes. So men can go in and get tested for a variety of things, chief among them being HIV. So, yeah, I mean, like it's.
Yeah, hey guys, if you want a fraction, just a small fraction of the pain that women go through for some of the tests that they have to take, go in and get an STD test, and when they stick the Q-tip up your urethra, think of me. Wait, did that sound gay?
That sounded just very wrong, Tech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the Q-tip test is yeah, go ahead and try not to cry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now there's a piece of this that's important, and I want to make sure that I get it.
gonna say, because that's why they're so not pro-life, because they don't give a fuck about any of the people who could get cancer or any variety of STD, and up to and including AIDS. They don't give a fuck, especially, I think, the STDs, because once again, if you're gonna have sex, you better get punished for it.
Yeah. Now, Bridget, as far as mammograms are concerned, because most men have literally no idea what in the hell is being talked about. A mammogram is not the most comfortable of procedures, and that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, they take a breast and they smash it flat like a pancake and image through it.
So they tenderize.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well,
Now,
they put it. It's called a titty clamp. Let's use the technical medical term. It's called a titty clamp. It just clamps down on the titty. It's a titty
But
clamp.
they're so much more fun to play with when they're fully inflated rather than flat.
But they flatten them as much as they can, that way they can see through all the tissue.
But
Yeah.
just think about what goes on in some fetish clubs. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes.
But
I can attest to the fact that yes, in fact, it does.
And if we're talking about fetish clubs, a second ago someone was talking about putting a Q-tip up your urethra. Urethral fingering is also a thing. So like, I mean, since we're on the topic.
There's a sound.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, a sounding rod is one thing. A finger?
Yeah.
Damn.
I think my testicles are trying to beat the image of my head.
Darling, you obviously haven't seen some of the sounding rods.
Okay, now before we get too far off on the
Complete diversion.
Sorry for derailing the show with my filthiness and my knowledge of filthiness, but I'm a dirty comic. I need to know these things.
well, it's okay. It's okay. I wanted to make sure that we get.
Excuse, Nick.
Like my parents said, never stop learning.
Thank you, Tech. I appreciate that. In my wife's case, because she ended up developing cancer that first presented in her breast tissue, she had to go through it, and of course, because of that, I know a little something about it, even though I don't know personally about it. Bridget and Heretic Woman, this is going to be much more powerful if it comes from you guys, and please forgive me for being indelicate. My wife was 5'0". She had mixed heritage from Canadian and Japanese stock, so she was very short, but she was, depending as to how you looked at it, a 36 double D or a 38C, kind of like that. Now, having full-size breasts like that from when she was in junior high or, she kind of told me that she imagined that it would be easier, and I'm using air quotes, although I'm not doing the air quote thing, easier for her because she had more area away from her breast wall versus somebody that probably would have been like a B size cup or even an A, where it would have been like right up against their chest wall. Bridget, I've got to assume that this would seem to be much more accurate.
It is. I had my first mammogram when I was 19, and not to get too personal, but I was wearing like a 34A, and it hurt like a bitch. After I had kids, the tissue is not quite so dense, and so it doesn't hurt quite so much.
And Heretic Woman?
Well, as we talked about on a previous episode, me and medical things don't get along very well, so I've never actually done it, even though I should, but that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, and Nick, from the folks that you've had the opportunity of escorting and helping in and out, I got to assume that some of these people were going in for exactly that kind of screening.
I don't believe our clinic does breast exams. It's reproductive health, and they only focus on birth control and abortions. So that's not a service that's provided at the current one that I escort at. Although, you know, these protesters don't give a shit. They're out the front of the ones that do, still yelling at the women, don't go in there, don't go in there.
Right.
And these legislatures, they're still pulling funding from these places where the funding is going towards that, because the Hyde Amendment means that if you want an abortion, you pay for it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I should point out, too, that Planned Parenthood, even though, as you've said, the abortion portion is always privately funded, but it's also only 3% of all of the services that they provide.
Mm-hmm.
So 3%. But, you know, and honestly, I'm beginning to think that it wouldn't matter if they even did not perform abortions. They're facilitating pleasurable sexuality, and holy fuck, we can't have that.
I wish I could find the article. There was something. Again, this came from Facebook, but there was like a quote from a woman who said that basically what you just said, Heretic Woman, that the main thrust, pardon the pun, if you will, against Planned Parenthood is because women should not engage in sexual pleasure.
If you're going to fuck, you should face a consequence.
And these antis take it even further. The antis even within the context of a marriage think that sex should only be for procreation.
Yeah, but the person who said it was also a woman.
But they get fucking brainwashed, and yeah, it's the religion shit.
Women can't be sexist, and brown people can't be racist, and that's wrong.
You know, Seth Andrews from the Thinking Atheist said it best: the gene pool needs chlorine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I think the dude from NoFX said someone dropped a steamer in the gene pool.
Yep.
So there's and this is the thing. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. All right, so cancer screening, good. I'm pretty sure that most of us can go ahead and agree on that one because as XKCD put it, all right, if you're going to look it up, xkcd.com, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever the hell it is. Look up the one that's labeled lanes, I believe is what it is. Was a perfect one because, as was put up there and it's been said before, I think we can all collect. I'm pretty sure that I can say on behalf of all of us, fuck cancer. I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that one. Fuck cancer and its fucking cancer face.
Yeah, and I can get away with saying it because, you know, my wife.
And we can all get away with saying it because we've all. I would go out on a limb and say that all of us know someone who's died of cancer. Would that be accurate?
Mm-hmm.
I've had cancer myself.
Sound off. Yeah, fucking come on.
And I have several mutations on my TP53 gene, so I will have cancer again.
Ah, shit.
My grandmother died of cancer, and my aunt just recently died of cancer.
My fiance had one relapse after I met her, and she went through chemo, and she was in Michigan at the time. And here I am in Canada trying to be there for her over Skype.
Yeah.
Worked? No, it worked, but it sure as hell shouldn't have, it's not where I should have been. But what choice did I have? And I'm grateful that, you know, to this day she hasn't relapsed. She's gone through a few other things right now, but yeah. That was actually my first real exposure to someone who's dealing with cancer, and I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah, cancer fucking sucks. All of my grandparents and one of my aunties who I was very close with. I mean, fuck cancer and its fucking cancer face.
Well,
if you have sex, then you probably just don't deserve to have cancer screening because, you know, if you're not get pregnant, then you should like get cancer or something.
You know, fuck those people with a fucking sledgehammer.
Okay? Anyone who's going to take that position, fuck them in the fucking face as well.
Yeah, I've made the analogy on many an occasion. It's easier to just turn the steering wheel a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Make a nice, long, slow, curving turn. And I've used that expression when describing how I've taught my daughter over the years. You don't just yank them by the arm and say, don't touch that, don't do that. No, you guide along, nice and easy. Don't look at the different ways that you can deal with this. It's nice, slow, it's gentle, it's easy to deal with. It's the same thing with cancer screening as opposed to carving somebody up like a goddamn turkey, like my wife had to go through not because it was late being noticed, although unfortunately it kind of was, but because it was fucking vicious. There's no two ways about it. She had it in her bone marrow. She had it in her breast tissue. It got into her lungs, her liver. They took out a third of her liver because it was fucking infected. Trust me, going through and being dissected up like that ain't fun, ain't pretty, ain't cheap. Now, what would be less expensive? What would be less harsh on the body?
Okay.
Finding out that there is something and getting it either excised immediately or low-grade chemicals to get rid of it. And don't even fucking start with me on the term chemicals, motherfuckers. What would you rather? You know what?
Everything is chemicals.
So we said fuck cancer, and we've said fuck the antis who are against these clinics that do the cancer screenings, and let's just add fuck every legislature who is voting to defund these clinics.
And fuck my governor for doing that.
Yeah. Ohio, Texas, who else is next to fucking attack women? This is just fucked.
You know, I gotta give Donald Trump a little bit of credit with some of the ideas he's come up with, but I don't think he's applying it the right way. Instead of building a fence between the USA and Mexico and Canada, I say start building really high fences around these states that are full of these legislative fuckwits and just let them fucking implode.
Well, the problem with that is though, I'm currently in one of those states, and it's the poor people who are suffering. They're having their right to vote taken away from them.
Yeah,
so they can't vote the people who are in charge out of power.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
seriously
saying evacuate all the good people, and then build the fence.
Yeah, well, you know, it doesn't matter if they're not. He's Australian.
Well, if he can't get out again, because I mean, what would you rather do, Tech? Would you rather A, stay inside of these fuckwitted countries once they're walled off, or B, go back where theoretically venom is more popular than running cold water?
I'd stay in with the walled-off territory because at least it'd be easy to get a gun and go hunting. It was like, oh, look, there's another fundamentalist. Bang! Got him!
Okay.
It's a clean shot.
Now we're going to talk about gun control, are we? Okay.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're having fun laughing at their expense.
No, we're having fun talking about cancer and the systematic stripping away of rights of women in America and around the world. Let's not get into the gun control debate tonight, guys.
I wasn't getting into a debate. I was making a point. It's like if they box them in, I'll just go get a gun. I'll go hunting, and at least I won't have to worry about what to eat.
Why is it
I have to be on the side of the wall where they don't throw women in jail for having miscarriages like they do in this fucking state?
Yeah.
Well, I won't shoot any of the women. Just
why is it all of a sudden I can see Tech going, be very, very quiet. No, we're hunting fundies.
Because I would do that.
I know. You'd have the big fucking act and everything.
All right, so
Jehovah's Witnesses are always in season.
Back on. There was a thing on the Fred show when I was on that the
Let's not start on the JWs.
Yeah, the Syrian refugees were only being accepted into the U.S. because why? And somebody said because they're in season.
Yeah.
Hunting and you know I don't remember who it was that said it, but still, Ross, thank you, and fuck you too, by the way.
Yes, I don't like to go Mormon hunting because they don't tend to scatter very well after the first shot. They tend to congregate a lot, and so therefore it's too easy. I mean, Joseph knows what I'm talking about.
They also think their magic underwear is going to stop the bullets, so they don't very quick.
Right, so it's not really, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, the magic underwear is going to stop the bullets, just how it stopped their prophet who was wearing the magic underwear from being shot to death.
Exactly.
All right, so cancer.
the density of
if I can jump in there,
area of effect.
I mean, it must have worked at least partly because he managed to kill 2 or 3 people before he went down.
Mm.
All right, so
I mean, there's a great view on martyrdom.
Yes,
all right,
that's
so
right.
we can overall accept that screening for cancer early and getting it taken care of is far less expensive in many ways than just not. And suddenly, oh, cancer 4 stage. I look like Deadpool now. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, that's pretty damned expensive that way. If you leave it go. All right, let's try this one. STD screening. Well, you know what? You don't have to do screening if you hand out condoms because they're dirt cheap.
Eugene, that would mean you're advocating people having sex, and we can't have that.
I highly advocate that everybody go out and get laid as much as often as humanly possible.
I will never forget the first time I talked to a fundy who told me that giving someone birth control was basically telling them to go out and have sex. And I looked at them and I said, what the hell planet are you on? But
also, they seem to think people going out and having sex is a problem.
I know!
And this is one of the things I just don't get.
You don't get it because, you see, the part that a lot of people forget is this country, okay, the American country that we have, the people who first, the people who came over from Europe were Puritans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten rid of that.
No, we still haven't. Look at our television. Go to Europe, go to Italy, go to France, whatever. Look at TV after hours, when kids are expected to be in bed, and look at the amount of sex in the commercials and shows and everything. But then look at the lack of violence compared to what we see on TV here in the States. It's a complete flip-flop.
Well, even here, after on the Tele Latino network, you can see softcore porn on regular cable.
Yeah, and if memory serves, Nick, in Australia, the Umbilical Brothers. I remember seeing a couple of skits that have been on YouTube where they have the puppets are doing their. They've got the little hand puppets that are doing their thing, and one of them just looks out and just says, "Well, fuck," just blurts it right out there. Is this like normal broadcast TV or is this cable? Do you remember?
It's after a certain time the ratings change, so I think it's like 9 p.m. they're allowed to say fuck. And some channels push it a bit further than others. Funnily enough, the one of the government channels, the SBS, is funded by partially by the government, and they have foreign movies with sex in them and more sweary things in comedy specials. But some of the network channels now have the sweary words in them. But there's like everyone's switching to digital. Like even like in Australia, everybody needs a digital set-top box. So there's more like grey area between what's a broadcast and what's an internet channel, and eventually that question's going to go away entirely because everyone just gets Netflix.
Okay, so the reason the reason I wanted to hit that one is because the mores, the morals, the way of doing what you should and shouldn't do, by comparison, as Tech said, between the U.S. and virtually everywhere else, it's freaking backwards entirely. I mean, we've seen a perfect example, Joseph. Over in France, I remember a couple of years ago, I believe going back to 2009, I believe it was, there were a handful of ads that came out of France for Orangina, where it was computer animated animals that were dancing around. It was the bear and the giraffe and the zebra and bunnies and a whole bunch of ones for Orangina. Do you happen to remember those particular adverts? I know you don't have or don't really watch television, but I'm wondering if you'd seen these adverts at any
I know the ones you're talking about. Yeah, they had human bodies and animal heads. Yeah. What about them, though? They weren't doing anything particularly sexy.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily accurate in some respects. Dancing and cavorting and being splashed with orange juice of some sorts, but you saw the advertisements.
Yeah.
You do remember them, at least. Okay, here's the question. could you imagine seeing those over here in the U.S.? Knowing how we are.
Yeah, because, like a pharmacy window here would be the equivalent of like a porn shop in the US, probably. But yeah, I think, a lot of this, the United States, is taboo society is actually doing a lot to push people at a young age towards sex. It's actually working
More
against.
liberal societies have less issues with STDs and teen pregnancy. That's just a fact.
Yeah, like here in France, you can see it everywhere, and I mean, people just don't care because it's not. As soon as you make something taboo, and like everybody's like, "Oh, I'm doing something bad," it actually pushes people towards it.
Whereas, here in the South, in America, they're leaving them completely unprotected and completely ignorant. So these kids are getting into trouble because they've got no friggin' idea what's going on.
And that's how believer babies are made. That's what they want.
It's illegal to say the word condom in a school. You can't say the word condom in a school because that'll promote all the kids to throw off their clothes and have a wild fucking orgy. That's how fucked it is here.
The worst thing you can do to a teenager, and I speak to this from experience, is to tell that teenager don't do something without explaining why.
Yep.
Because as a teenager, as a almost not teenager, the first thing I did when I got away from parental control was do every fucking thing I'd ever been told not to do because I didn't believe them that I shouldn't do it. Because
well, you weren't indoctrinated properly.
In a lot of these places, the why that they give is fucking disgusting. In these abstinence-only programs that they're teaching in schools in the South, they teach things like women are responsible for being raped and men can't be raped. And that if you have sex with a man willingly, you're used and no man will ever want you because you can't be properly unless he's your only one.
Well, as a former fundie, I can tell you that the mindset, as far as like the kids go, is if they happen to be on birth control or take precautions or use a condom, then it's premeditated, so that's a bigger sin than just having sex and go, oops, I'm pregnant.
Let me just add that there's many people out there, many women out there, young women, who get on birth control for reasons other than having sex.
Because they have terrible periods and go on birth control, regulate shit so that they're not every fucking
I know many women, many young women who do that, and in fact, one of them told me that I'm allowed to use her as an example in any discussion that I'm having. She got on birth control because she was having super heavy flows and a super crazy, she'd just have period after period, no time off, and so she had to get on birth control, and she asked her mother whether she thought that taking that would make her a slut, and her mum said yes.
My mom wouldn't let me take them because she said it would give me an excuse to whore around, but I had endometriosis and birth control helped that, but she wouldn't let me take it.
Okay, well, before we go past that, would you please explain exactly what that means? Because I don't know what that particular term means.
Endometriosis?
Yes.
It's a medical condition where you have endometrial cells that will get displaced and grow in other places in your body, like your abdomen or in your rectum, in your lungs, and whenever you have a period, the adhesions in other places of your body try to bleed just like your uterus does, but there's nowhere for the blood to go, and it's very painful.
I just have another person to say fuck you to. Fuck you to Bridget's mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom. So here's the thing that I think that we need to, because we could go on this a hell of a lot longer. And forgive me, I really can't go any much further than our typical 2-hour point because it's still recovering. My throat has not been real great, so I'm going to see about wrapping us very shortly on this one. But I think the takeaway. The closing up point of all of this that I think that we should hit individually is what would we what would we think if things were the way that we would like them to be? What argument would we think should work to get these people to just stop protesting and to stop trying to regulate somebody else's body? I know that I'm tainting the question by wording it this way. I know, and I'm sorry. There's no other way that I can think to word this to put across to everybody where I think I would like people to be going with this to
Can I
close
jump
off
in
with.
first?
By all means.
I would say to them, your religious convictions you can apply to your own body. Do not apply your religious beliefs to somebody else's body. Fuck you if you think that it's appropriate for you to insert your opinion into somebody else's body. And that's actually the argument that I did take, but...
And I'd like to expand on that. If you think that you should have a say in how someone else uses their body, then I would like a say on how you use yours right now.
You know, normally I would stay to the end, but I'm gonna dovetail onto this one. I think this is a good way of doing it. My dovetail onto that would be, my wife and I have already discussed this, and we are doing what we need to do because it's the right thing for her health, and for the way that we want to be able to have a child later on our terms. And unless you are actually part of my marriage, and you're not, you get to say fuck all about it.
It's not in their business.
Yeah.
Bridge, flesh that one out. Go ahead. Dovetail in there.
Whatever goes on between my legs is nobody's business but mine. Just saying. And I would like to leave you with this button here. And it says, keep your theocracy off my democracy.
Great button.
I just have...
Thanks.
I suppose I have an umbrella way of thinking of this sort of thing.
He lives.
I do. Well, I haven't gotten the chance to say much. I mean...
Well, yes, I know. I've been trying to grab to you, but...
Well, he's been a fantastic male feminist over here, just listening. Good job.
I do tend to just listen a lot.
It's our number one job.
I suppose I have an umbrella concept of this entire thing in simple. You know, your religion ends at your door and on your person. You practice whatever you want in your own home for yourself, or, you know, if you have a church, you go to your church and practice it there with people of similar beliefs. But that's where it ends. It doesn't go any further than that. You don't get to apply it to the next person over. If that's a problem for you, well, I hear they're looking for people to go to Mars.
So who's going to dovetail off of that one at this point?
Yeah.
Why would you want to pollute Mars with crap like that?
Because it doesn't last very long there.
Yeah, no, we've already got international treaties against. So that means we've got to sterilise anything that we send to Mars.
Unless,
that might be a benefit as well.
Unless, of course, you're Matt Damon.
Yeah, I have a question for these men that are out protesting, that are antis. How would they feel if the state compelled them to donate blood to save a child or give up part of their liver or a kidney? I don't think they would stand for that.
I don't have any left to give.
So how can they compel a woman to donate her uterus?
You really need a heart for this little child, and yours is the only one around, so I'm sorry, you know. Or, you know, like Monty Python.
Can we have your liver? Can we have your liver then?
See, there's a piece about this that pisses me off immensely. It's not happening. No, hold on. It's not happening. So there is no compulsion whatsoever for them to even entertain the question. It's a non-issue. It's never going to have happened, so it doesn't matter. They don't have to take the question even seriously. And that, Bridget, is probably the thing that pisses me off the most about the question, because it's a completely valid question, and they will never treat it as the serious question that it is. And that pisses me off hugely.
The entirety of the anti-choice movement is religious. It is a religious belief that life begins at some ethereal point earlier than a person is actually a person. I think as humanists, a lot of us take that line as viability. I am in favor of late-term abortion only because late-term abortion is less than 0.3% of all abortions, and it's only done in the case of serious risk to the life of the mother and the risk of life and quality of life of the child. And so it is a religious belief that life begins sometime. But really what it's about, and we've hit on it repeatedly tonight, and that's the religious belief that sex needs to have consequences because sex is a bad thing.
For the woman.
Nick, I'd take it even further than that. That the point at which life begins is, while they've latched onto it, it is immaterial, really. Is the main issue seems to be women having any sort of empowerment or control or being anything other than property.
Yeah.
And so, while for emotional reasons and to get reactions, they've latched onto this. It's all about the life of the child, as has been demonstrated repeatedly and remarked on earlier in the fold. That if they were that concerned about the child, then they would give as much of a shit about it after it was born as before.
They wouldn't be cutting all these programs to feed kids.
I'm persuaded they don't really care at all.
They wouldn't be.
But it's not rational what they're doing. They're doing it out of fear, out of their own. Because these people are indoctrinated.
Like I said, buddy, on his YouTube channel, you're doing this so that you can kiss your God's ass, so that you get better to your stupid fake God, and that's the only reason you're doing it.
Yeah, before we close out of this whole damn thing, only because I know that we've seen it. You remember earlier I was mentioning about the walk to the train station when we've gone to Anthrocon for breakfast with Fred. Joey, we've done it a couple of times, and we've seen the protesters on a Saturday morning. I know, Nick, you've seen these signs also. Dallin, we've seen them. But Joey, in particular, I want you. You live out there. You hear what these people do daily. You've seen these posters that they've shown. These are absolutely vile and disgusting. As somebody who doesn't have to go into these clinics, just seeing these is just a person back and forth, someone who has been in the military, someone who has been dead, literally has been dead. What does it do?
Dude, he's had more resurrections than Jesus.
Yep.
Well, confirmed ones at least.
Definitely more than Jesus' choice. I didn't die on the cross for your sins because I didn't die on the cross at all.
No, I died in the dirt, and then they managed to pull my back.
I had septicemia, so...
I just wish I had some sort of out-of-body experience with it, because that would have been a fun story. But, you know, I'm to the point where I'm not even fazed by it anymore. I've seen some pretty terrible things, and that's what they try to do, is use the shock value, especially on those posters. They're trying to shock people. It takes a lot to shock me. And there has been occasion where I have, pointed out a thing or two. For example, when one such poster was being held in my face, I stopped, gave them a sweet smile, and asked where they got the image. Now, as a graphic designer, citing where you get an image is kind of important. If you didn't take a photograph or create a graphic yourself, you kind of have to display, I got this from here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I kind of pay attention to. And I asked them where they got the image.
Yeah, these people.
Well,
these people are notorious for filching like everywhere. They think they're entitled.
Mm-hmm. Well, they pulled it off of Google.
Yep.
And I asked them, just what exactly did you search for? Because that's not what you think it is.
Yeah, the one that they show out the front of our clinic isn't an abortion. It's a miscarriage.
Well, the one that this guy had was it was a chicken fetus.
Oh, what?
Oh, God.
Okay.
The beak gave it away.
No, it was before the down and the beak had actually started to form.
Yeah.
But it was a chicken fetus.
Epic.
Right.
That's out in front of Chick-fil-A.
There's a meme that goes around, and I've actually reposted it myself, and it shows like an embryo of some sort, and it says, "This is not a human being." And then it's like, before you lose your shit, it's a fucking elephant, okay? Like,
Yeah.
and
This is not a human being. This is breakfast.
Yes. And when I used to belong to an antique.
I have one question though for Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. It's about, over here in France, I've got, before the fashion shows, there's lots of people taking pictures of other people. And the American crews over here, they always have to get whoever they photograph, they have to get them to sign release papers so that their picture can be published.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of wondering, like, these guys filming,
It depends what state you're in. It depends what state you're in. If you're in a public place, they claim that you don't have an expectation to privacy. If you flag a video that you are in on YouTube, you can have it taken down for that reason. But it's these disgusting, garbage human beings
But
will
imagine,
do it anyway. Putting women who are going there to get, say, for example, an abuser's baby aborted out of their body so that they can escape. They'll, who knows? They could be getting women killed. They don't give a fuck.
But do you see what I'm saying? Do these guys even have the right to film? Because we've got American.
Yes, you can't stop them. They're like freedom of speech, public place. Yeah, they go freedom of speech, public place, no expectation of privacy.
Joseph, the only way to stop it is to take a baseball bat home, but we're too civilized for that.
Yeah.
Well, no, and the thing is,
let me rephrase that. According to Stranger in a Strange Land, we're not civilized enough to do that.
No, the thing is, Tech, if you assault one of these protesters, you basically play right into their hands.
I'm not assaulting anybody. I'm cleaning the gene pool. I'm doing society a favor.
The other clinics this week thought that one of the antis was going to hit me because he got all up in my face. It was hilarious. You won't see any footage of it online because they don't have the balls to post it. One of these guys who's there just like the most vitriolic of them, the one who harasses the women the most. He's the one who told us that we must have been molested. That's why we're baby murderers. He comes right up to me, he points in my face, and he goes, "You're one breath away from eternity, and then you'll burn before the judgment." And I don't point, because when I was young, somebody pointed out to me that if you point at someone, one finger goes to them, but there's three pointing back at you. So I gave him the knife hand, and I just went...
Nice! Marines everywhere were going, yes, sir!
Exactly. So I gave him the knife hand. So he's stepped up to me, almost chest to chest, and he goes, "You're one breath away from eternity, and then you'll burn." And I gave him the knife hand, and I said, "You're one breath away from oblivion, and you've wasted your entire life being an asshole, and that's all anyone will remember you for."
Yeah.
And
You posted that, I remember that. But
yeah,
the reason for the release forms is the difference between filming for the sake of filming and filming for profit. And I think that's what
Okay.
And there's also different rules for print media and
Yeah.
for online.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure
I just had to ask.
yeah.
I'm wondering also, are you filming these guys?
He
Oh,
just
we're gonna have to. Yeah, he blipped out apparently. We'll have him back momentarily.
he did film some of them because he posted one video with the one guy up in his face and telling him who are you to dress up like Jesus and blah blah blah, and
Yeah, I
it was
saw that one. Yeah.
quite amusing. So I think he tries when he can, but there's so much going on. I don't know that he has time to do it all the time.
I'm sorry, I just wouldn't be comfortable dressed as Jesus. I don't like sandals, and I'm sure the breeze is nice, but way too many possible faux pas. And if Edna taught me anything, it's no capes.
Well, LifeSite News went ape shit.
I've read 2 articles now with Jesus Choice, and they're both from these Christian right-wing nut news sites. And the article itself, okay, there's a little bit of snark in it, and I'm one who likes the snark. But the comments section, I honestly have never read a more jaw-dropping collection of utter stupidity and willful sheepology. I'm serious. Okay, I read one just earlier today, just before the show here. And it's going through the comment section, yada, yada, yada. And it had to do with this other counter-protester who, yeah, buddy, you're getting there. You just a little bit more tact, and we all might respect you. But there was a link to one of the Jesus Choice articles, and everybody was commenting on that. And so I'm reading through this, and one of the things that one of these commenters said was, and I quote, "Nailing the master," capital M, to the cross. Okay.
You really don't pay attention to your Bible very much, do you?
I have never heard of Jesus referred to as master. Rabbi, yes. Teacher, yes. Messiah, yes. Lord, yes. But master? Nah, I haven't seen that one. And all I'm thinking was, wow, way to promote your own slavery there, buddy. We don't have to call you out on it because you got it figured out.
You see about that?
Fucking idiot!
Yep.
Sorry, I just had to say that.
It's okay. By the way, Antonio, thank you. By the way, for commenting on that. Did see it. I didn't plug you up in there, but thank you very much. And Xenotropos, good to see you. Nick's laptop died, so he is.
There he is.
There. He's back.
Howdy, guys. My laptop just died.
Oh.
How are you plugged in?
Let's glob in the iPhone then.
And here I thought they finally firebombed you.
No
Not
such
quite.
luck.
Right.
I think you
So-
got all of that on my behalf, buddy.
No worries. All right, so
Damn it, I'm gonna have to pay again.
all right, we're gonna see about wrapping this all together at this point. I'm not quite sure what to really steer you guys towards at this point, but I guess I'll just leave it up to you individually for whatever it is that you'd like to close us with. I mean, we've had a lot that we've talked about. This is a vastly, hugely contentious thing that we've talked through, and I know that we've meandered a lot through a lot of different pieces and not even scratched nearly enough. But I guess I'll give each of you an opportunity of whatever it is that you'd like to punctuate this whole damn thing with. Nick, being that you are, of course, our guest, you get first stab. Whatever it is that you'd like to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody jump on the hashtag and play Pledge a Phrase. It's our most effective tool in shutting the antis up, It turns their vitriolic hatred and their harassment of women into a money-making tool to support everything that they're there to fight against. It's the most effective tool we've seen so far in shutting them up, and it's taken the wind right out of their sails. If you want to see more about the Pledge of Phrase game and also hear more about what's happening here in relation to women's rights in Alabama, you can look up the Jesus Choice YouTube channel and look at his vlog. You can also follow me on Twitter at Nick Morganmore. That's my name. And also at that Zandy Girl. She is the mastermind behind the Pledge of Phrase game, and she is absolutely wonderful. And if you're out there and you're thinking that you want to get more involved with activism, I encourage you to take that step. There's a big difference between being a skeptic and an atheist and actually doing something. It doesn't have to be this cause. There's so many causes in the world. That's the great thing about being an activist. I really sincerely hope that someday they'll put in the exclusion zones, or that we'll get through to the antis, and then this will no longer be necessary for us to be out there. But as soon as that is, we're moving on to whatever that next thing is. So if there's a cause that's near and dear to your heart, something that's important to you, get involved and do something. And thank you all so much for having me on the show, Shujin, all of you guys who are here every week, and all of you watching this or listening to this, get involved, play the game. Hashtag Pledge a Phrase.
Fair enough. I will make sure that your Twitter account are linked, as well as the link for the search for the hashtag Pledge a Phrase.
And if you could also link the Tilt campaign that the Pledge a Phrase goes to. That's what we're using to pay the rent on the powerhouse, keeping it out of the hands of the antis, and also serving the needs of the women and the partners and families and friends of the women who are in the clinic here in Montgomery, Alabama.
What is that guy that I'm looking for now? Because I'm scrolling and searching through Pledge a Phrase right now.
Mm-hmm. I'll just send it to you. I'll send you the link for it. But it's a Tilt campaign that we're using to raise money. We considered doing GoFundMe, but they told us that they won't touch anything to do with abortion, and we were like, you know what, screw you guys, and we went with Tilt instead, who've been wonderful. So it's a Tilt campaign. We're asking people to just donate on a micro scale, play every week, a couple bucks, pick a phrase. If they say that phrase, donate a couple bucks. Every little bit helps, and every time that ticket goes up, those antis lose a little bit more steam.
Actually, I did find it. I've got it waiting in the wings so that I can add it to the show notes.
Perfect.
So
Thank
it's
you so
almost like reverse roulette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically.
Except instead of it paying out, you're paying in.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how that plays out. Or in, as the case may be. Joseph, what would you like to close up for yourself for tonight, this morning?
Well, you guys have pretty well said it all. Yeah, I just hope this particular brand of protester just dies out with their generation. That the next one's going to be a more rational one.
I like that thought. I like that hope a lot. Chris, what would you like to punctuate at this point with?
I think everyone's pretty much covered it. On there, I just wish these people would go away somewhere and do something without disturbing anyone else. Joe mentioned about them trying to use shocking images. What shocks me and should shock anyone else is that anyone would use these images or protest in this way. They've got they don't care about the women, they don't care about the fetuses, they just want to stamp their own power
It's just
on the
PR.
world and have everyone else follow their line. Then that's probably much all I've got to say at the moment.
Fair enough. Tech, what would you like to finish off with?
To all those families out there that, encourage everybody to be repressive. repressive on sexuality, repress women's rights to medical care, men's rights too in these cases. I just want you to understand something. This all rubs off on your children, okay, if you have them. It tends to rub off on them. It tends to repress them and everything else. And my motto, as well as a lot of other people, is the repressed are always make the best. Because they're a clean slate. I get to pervert them however I want when I meet them. Because they have no clue of what's going on in the world. They have no clue about their own sexuality. They have no clue about other sexualities or anything that goes on there. So when I come across them, the way that I'm going to get even for you for attacking men and women who need health care, for attacking people for doing what they're legally allowed to do in their own bedrooms, things like that, is to go and pervert your children. Not as an atheist, no, but as a humanist, to expand their experiences in the world around them. Because it's obvious that you want them to have this very narrow view of the world, and there's so much more to explore. Show them the physics and the math and the music and the arts and everything else, and if they're the right kind of person, maybe the sex side too.
Okay. Joey, what would you like to close off with?
Just, a reminder, pretty much, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's something that's worked out for me just very well in my now about 30 years of life, and I see no reason to change it now. It's as I said, your religion, and more so your ideals and your philosophies and beliefs, regardless of whether they are religious or anything else, they end at your own person. Now, you can speak on them as much as you like, but acting on them is no. Your actions are going to affect you and you alone, by all means. If not, don't fly.
Yeah, and you can speak publicly. There are ways to have the conversation and the debate.
Yes.
And I'll do that as an atheist, and I will engage with anyone that wants to be engaged. What I will not do is stand outside a church on Sunday mornings with a bullhorn yelling about how you're all wasting your lives, your time, and your money, and all the rest of it. No matter how much I may disagree with them, I'm not like gentlemen I came across haranguing people about hell in the street the other day. On there, but if anyone wants to engage, I will engage with them. I will have the conversation publicly, but I won't deliberately go out and impinge upon other people who don't want to be harassed. And it would be nice if everyone could show the same level of respect for other people.
One can hope. Bridget, where would you like to finish yourself off?
I would like to say fuck the patriarchy, fuck Proverbs 31, and fuck you, Mom. I'm done.
Works for me. Heretic woman, what would you like to punctuate with?
Well, as I said, I've been reading abortion online for almost a decade now, and one of the questions that I always get that really makes sense is the old, what if you were aborted? And my answer to that always is, I absolutely should have been aborted. My parents had no business having any children or being together at all. And if I had been aborted, number one, I wouldn't even know or give a fuck because I never would have existed. And number two, I wouldn't be a pain in your sorry ass today that I am. So
someone actually asked me that same question this week, and my response was, if I had been aborted, you would be ignorantly arguing with someone else right now.
Yes, exactly. And so, it's the ridiculousness that they come up with. What if you were aborted? I wouldn't fucking know, idiot. But, like I said before, it has zero to do with fetuses or, quote, children or families or any of that. Number one, they're all out there to kiss their own God's ass because they want to look better in its eyes that they think is there. And number two, they don't give a shit about life because they're the first ones to bail on anyone who needs actual support in living. So, anybody who's there who thinks that, oh, I'm supporting life and I'm helping, no, you're not. Okay? In almost a decade of debating people online about abortion, I have encountered one person who claims, and I can't even verify this, who claims that they have adopted a child that they convinced the parent to gestate. So until you're out there adopting or caring for these children that you want all these people to have, shut your fucking mouth, go home and take care of your own fucking family, because that's where you should be instead of getting your nose in everybody else's fucking business that is not your business, and take your religion and go the fuck home or to church.
Yeah. Deborah?
I actually asked a religious friend of mine that he was big up on the whole women shouldn't be allowed to have abortions shit. And I said, dude, you've got a kid. I know you have a good job and background and everything else. Why don't you go to one of these clinics and offer to adopt one of their kids? Like, well, we don't need to adopt because we don't have a problem getting pregnant. That was the ultimate answer. It took a while to get to that answer, but that was the ultimate answer that came out of it. It's like, you know what? You're a motherfucker.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Deborah. And the thing is, I take the point about them offering to care, but these are the last kind of people that I would wish on any child as a parent. And they definitely shouldn't. I don't think that they should be allowed to adopt or have children.
No, they shouldn't, but you know what? If they're going to be out there telling people that you need to gestate this child, quote, then you step up and you fucking pay for it. Because I bet you 9 times out of 10, that person is seeking an abortion due to economic reasons, as Nick pointed out. Pay them a fucking living wage, and then maybe they'd be a lot more acceptable to, okay, I wasn't planning on it, but you know what, I got a decent job, I'll have a baby, but they don't, and no one wants to pay for it, but they all want to force the woman to have it, because like I said, it has nothing to do with life and all about punishing people for having sex.
And Dallin, what would you like to end off with?
When I first found out one of my friends was working as a clinic escort, I started looking into it a little bit more, and it felt to me like an eternally losing battle at first. I mean, you're out there getting in the faces of people that, well, you're protecting people who are trying to live their lives. For whatever reason, they're at these places getting procedures done, whatever those procedures are, and you're having to stand there silently, again, this was my assumption, and listen while these absolutely despicable specimens of humanity are hurling insults and Bible verses at people who are just trying to live. And all I could think of was, why would, I understand the nobility of it, but at the same time, it just felt like such a losing battle.
It's already hard for these people to go there and to have this on top of it.
Yeah, and then, like an escort. And I've watched this person's attitude change to the point where she's gotten a little cynical, a little more than normal anyway. And then now, Nick, I see this. I see Pledge of Phrase. I see Jesus' voice. I see hope. Not for basically. This has got to. We have got to have now the disciples of Jesus' choice, and they have to proliferate all over America.
Absolutely. Anyone who wants to get involved, play their own version of Jesus' choice. There can be other flesh avatars if they want. The Holy Ghost, just chuck a sheet over yourself with a bunch of holes cut in it. Make sure that it doesn't go pointy on the top of your head because that's actually the other guy's.
You make a very good point, but what I'm saying is what you and Zandy are doing in Alabama right now, I think it has to be the spark that lights the powder keg that puts us on the right kind of offensive.
Exactly. And
like I said before, you take a swing at these guys, suddenly they can play the victim card and they were right all along, and all us atheists are just blah, 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 bad people.
I have a quick question. Has anybody looked up for the areas where these clinics are located as to whether or not they have noise ordinances?
Yes, they do. They actually shut down the guy who is the main protester out the front of our clinic, Mr. David Day. Name and shame because he's out there trying to raise money for what he's doing as David Day.
Yeah.
He was using a megaphone, and he was told that it's a violation of the FACE Act if he goes above a certain decibels. And so he switched from using a powered one to a small cheerleader, like a plastic children's toy cheerleader one, which he spray painted silver so it'd be less effeminate. And that's what he yells out. That's what he yells out of. And so we put it on our Pledge of Phrase as for every minute that he yells through it, that's $5. And you can find a picture if you search Pledge of Phrase and look back through some of the images. There's a photograph of him standing on the lawn with it on the ground by his feet, looking forlorn, and that's what Pledge of Phrase does. That is what we're doing out there.
Okay.
What I was thinking was, I was thinking in terms of the people. Hold on, just trust me on this. The people who are being escorted, not the escorts themselves, but the people being escorted in. Maybe if somebody's got the finances or at least the hardware lying around, a set of earphones playing some relaxing, calming music a little bit louder than the idiots yelling at them. That's why I was asking about noise ordinance. They're wearing earphones, and there's noise ordinance laws. They can only yell so loud, won't be able to get through the music. They won't have to hear that shit.
We do blare Marilyn Manson sometimes. We play Nine Nails, Marilyn Manson.
Not quite what I'd call soothing music, but okay.
Any quote urban music seems to make them very uncomfortable. So we'll play a lot of that when we rock up in our cars. Also, they think we're all Satan worshippers.
But
and film these guys. Really film them. I mean, for posterity.
Yes.
Okay. Let's let Dallin finish this.
Yeah, it's like we said once before, and Nick, you're really hitting the nail on the head, and I think more places. I mean, my friend now has seen what you're doing, and has said, and I said it before, quote, "Fuck, we need to start doing this."
Wonderful, wonderful. And I just want to add that I put in a lot of writing into the nuances of the character of Jesus' choice. I made him specifically Jesus' choice so that the liberal Christians can go, no, that's not blasphemy, that's a different Jesus entirely.
Yeah.
And the bigoted assholes are as offended that I'm any kind of Jesus as they are that I'm fighting for women's rights.
Yeah.
Because women shouldn't have rights; they're not really people. So, so I did do a lot of writing and a lot of nuance, and I would encourage people who want to take on the mantle of Jesus' choice to be very careful about the positions that they take, and just make sure that if you ever do engage with any antis, film it yourself and be willing to put up every single second of footage that you shoot. That's the commitment that I make to myself. I'm not saying anything that I'm going to edit out and be ashamed of, unlike these antis. And so that's my only request to people who want to play another version of Jesus' choice or a disciple of Jesus' choice. Be clear and be careful with what you say, and stay on the right side of this, guys. This is a very important step that we're taking, and so let's all stay on the right side together.
It's like I've always said, and I mean, we said this before in the Just We Charlie episode that we did. The only way to fight absurdity is with mockery.
Absolutely.
And I think it's time. Nick, you've kind of given, I think you've given people now a venue or a method now that they can actually go on the offensive with this and maybe start making real change. And I swear, man, if I ever get the chance to meet you in person, I'm getting you drunk.
It'll happen. It'll happen. As well as being Jesus Choice, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I will be touring and hopefully also at the same time spreading the message of Jesus Choice, because I am an activist.
If I could get CFI to welcome you up here, I would.
Hey, I'll get up there eventually. I'll be there for some sort of thing, some gigs, a convention, something. So yeah, we'll get some drinks into us.
Awesome.
Toronto, man.
Yeah, thank you for everything, Nick.
Yeah. So.
Thank you very much.
Are you coming to
everyone
Maryland?
to tweet Zandy, because she's the mastermind, and she's also, you know, a very, very special person to me. So as that, everybody remember, just throw some love Zandy's way. She is amazing, and I think we could all learn a lot from her. I certainly have. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for her influence in my life. Okay.
So let me go ahead and close this off with a piece, and I've been kind of racking my brains on how to do this one. I'm not going to be looking at the camera for a couple of seconds because I've got a point to be making over here, and because I'm going to be doing this, I'm not going to be switching the camera at all for the time being. But there's somebody who's watching right now, Xenotropos, who is a wonderful person, an artist who is somebody that I've had the opportunity of speaking with on occasion. She's come to the convention in Toronto several times. Fertile Equinox. I've talked about it on occasion, and she's got a wonderful style. I love her, and I don't use that term at all lightly. Those of you that have listened to me on many an occasion know full well the words love don't come easily for me these days, as much as I would really like them to be able to. Mostly because I'm still in a lot of pain. I mean, it's 10 years later, and I still mourn for my wife a lot. The reason why I'm making reference to that is because of what I'm doing. I'm actually kind of recreating a piece that I talked about on one of the past shows, one of the pieces that I used to make a point. And I am not an artist, as I've mentioned on many an occasion. There's a very good reason why I'm talking through that. I am trying to do a little artistry of sorts, and it's probably not really good, and there's actually a reason why I'm doing it this way. I promise there's actually a payoff for this. Joey, you're an artist. You actually have gone to school for it. You kind of know your way around stuff, and you know full well if somebody is kind of making all these kinds of scratchy sounds, they're working through something on a rough basis. If they're doing it with a pencil, it's got a very distinctive sound to it, and it's something you can work with. If you're using a ballpoint pen, theoretically you kind of know what you're doing.
Well,
I don't. I'd be the first to admit it. But for those that can even see it, and those of you that are listening on the podcast feed, you obviously can't. But just take my word on this. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm kind of looking at the bottom half of one of the My Little Pony characters, and yeah, I know, make you laugh for a second. But I decided that I was going to try to sketch, the bottom part of one of my favorite characters, who are the Lunar Guard, the Bat Ponies. What it is that I'm sketching doesn't really much matter. This will eventually be one of the absolute best versions of that character that has ever been. that I've decided that I'm not going to continue it. That's my choice. You don't get to choose what I do with my paper, with my ink, with what it is that I started. It's not your choice. It's mine. It's my paper. It's my effort. I could continue on with it if I wanted to. I choose not to. You can't tell me what I can and can't do with my ability. Now, in this particular case, it's just a piece of paper. But it's my paper. It's my fingers. It's my muscle movement. It's my energy to expend or not. And in this case, I say, I'm not. You can't force me to continue on. Think about that. The next time you go ahead and you tell someone, you can't do that because I don't think that you should, you know what? You really want to go ahead and you really want to make the case. Our yelling and screaming back at you hasn't changed your position. Why do you think your yelling and screaming is going to change ours? We've already thought through our position, and so have you. You want to change minds? Find a place of agreement and someone who's willing to sit down and discuss, not yell, not argue, to discuss. Because Joey has actually trained for the art thing. Joey could sit down with me and say, you know, you'd probably do better if you were to start off with a pencil instead of with a ballpoint pen until you really know what you're doing.
No. But that's a different point.
But the point, bottom line is, you want to go ahead and change minds? There's other ways of doing it, because obviously what you're trying to do now ain't working. And I can guarantee you it's not going to work ever that way. And if you go through the method of trying to change the law, oh, you're just going to find out how many people are willing to lay down their money to make sure that you get smacked down hard. Because once that happens, you won't have anything to stand on. And it won't matter how loud you are. Because once it's been decided, once and for all, you're done. I, for one, can't wait for that day anyway. As always, everyone, thank you very much for your time and being with us. We know full well that we are not shit tier, but we're not going to be setting any records and we're not going to be winning any awards. So thank you for spending part of your time with us and finding something worthwhile in what we talk about. As always, I will start us off by saying thank you to our guest, Nick Morganmore, tonight, assuming that that is your real name.
That's my name.
Go ahead and plug all of the things, because I know that I've helped you with some of the things.
Yes, indeed. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Morganmore. I also do the Jesus Choice Pledge game on Twitter under Nick Morganmore. You can like my comedian page on Facebook. It's also under Nick Morganmore. That's my name. My YouTube channel is Nick Morganmore. My name also. So I've got some stand-up comedy on there. But also watch the Jesus Choice vlogs, and if anybody wants to support what I'm doing directly, I encourage people, first of all, to play the pledge game. But if you'd like to invest in Nick Morganmore, I have a Patreon page. I'm going to be doing a behind-the-scenes vlog of what it's like to be Jesus Choice behind the scenes, and also what it's like to be a comedian in the South. So I'll be vlogging and documenting my journey, and you can find that on Patreon at Nick Morganmore. That's my name.
Thank you, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna
also,
be-
I have a podcast which has been on hiatus because I've been super busy being Jesus Choice, but it's called Good Advice, and there's some amazing segments on there by some amazing people, not the least of which is the host of this show, Mr. Shuge and Tribble. Great sketch you did. Great sketch. And we will be resurrecting that as soon as we have some time.
By the way, what's your name again?
That's my name.
That's his name.
You know what? Since you got ahead and popped your head up, Unreno Tech, thank you for your time, of course, and I'm glad you drive safe home.
Well, yeah, of course I did. You didn't really think I was driving drunk, did you?
No. I'll explain in a couple of moments.
Oh, okay.
But thank
Oh,
you very
yeah.
much for your time again.
Absolutely.
By the way, is your little guy going to be out trick-or-treating?
Yeah, hopefully. We won't get on the topic of his lair, but for his costume this year, he's doing a spin-off of a costume he did a couple years ago, which was, instead of being a monster, he was playing a monster hunter. And so I had gotten him some Nerf zombie gear and things like that, and, went full tilt, and of course, which boggled his mother. It's like, what's he supposed to be? I don't understand. It's like, yeah, no kidding. But this year, his half-sister has decided that she wants to go as a zombie. So he's going as a zombie hunter. So I got him this big foam bat that's molded to look like somebody had taken an old-fashioned baseball bat and wrapped the whole head of it in razor wire, right? Now, mind you, it's all foam. But I got him a shirt with fake blood to splatter on the blood. It comes in a bottle. It gives you tips and tricks on how to spray on there and everything else. There's a hat that says Zombie Apocalypse Exterminator, something like that. It did the whole 9 yards for him. I think I dropped almost $200 on props and things and costume parts for him for him to go up there. And just before he went back up for Halloween, I said, "Now, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. I do not want to get away from your mother, so please, please, do not hit your sister with the damn hat."
Good man. Joey, of course, as always, thank you very much for showing us your eyes. Thing.
He looks so much younger with the sunglasses on. He looks like such a baby. Oh, it's so cute. Look, it needs to be a dirty look.
Have a good morning. Again.
He's going to kill me in my sleep.
No, I want
That's
you
Freddy.
awake. I want you awake for it.
Every second.
As I was going to say, you all know my position on the entire thing, so I'm just going to say good night, everyone. Have a wonderful one. And kids, stay off my lawn.
Good choice. Joseph, thank you very much for your time, and good morning for you. Have an enjoyable Sunday.
You too, sir.
Sir, he says.
Unattended children will be auctioned off.
All because I'm going back through the listing of my video feeds at the moment. Heretic Woman, good morning. Plug all of the shit. All right, everybody, set your calendar watches now, and let's see.
Now I should be making Joseph and Nick plug the other show, Atheist Apocalypse, because they're both fucking cast members. Hello, boys.
Hi.
But I'm here. So, Atheist Apocalypse, we just dropped an episode last Monday. Not sure when the next one's coming out, within the next couple of weeks for sure. So, do check it out, atheistapocalypse.com.
In a few days, it's already out for the Patreon people.
Yes.
And it's coming out in a couple of days, actually.
Okay. We have another one on Monday? Okay,
Yeah.
yay. Because we do this shit ahead of time, and I always lose track.
Yeah, way ahead of time. That's why I forgot. Sorry.
I know. And Nick is on every episode so far, so he should be plugging too. But he has a lot of stuff going on, so we'll let him off the hook this time, I guess.
That's my name. Yeah, I missed a couple. I'm on all but 2 episodes of this season.
Excellent.
It's going to turn into a
Yes.
drinking game. I just know it.
Kelly Muttersea is Mr. Nick, so do check that out as well. Of course, Beyond the Trailer Park, Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This week, by the look of things, it's going to be Beth and Miss Ashley by themselves because I'm being a busy little atheist activist and going to see talks. There's a really important speech happening Monday night in Mississauga, so I'm kind of heading out to go see that instead. But the girls said they're going to carry on without me, so it's all good. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do, but there should be a show on Monday night. The following week, on the 2nd, we're going to have a gentleman named Doug Thomas on the show, and he is from a group called Secular Connection Seculaire, and they're trying to be the Canadian version of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and he was also a guest at the non-conference. So that's going to be fun. Doug's one of our local atheist guys, and he's got a lot of important stuff going on, so that'll be great. Let's see. Do this show. There's also My Secular Savior at mysecularsavior.com. Once in a while, when I have time, I show up on the Forbidden Fruit radio show, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. I think that about covers everything that I can think of right now. So there we go. And Antonio, who seems to be watching from the Q&A, no one has a mental problem, and fuck you. Thank you.
Actually, I take umbrage to that. I've got several mental problems.
Okay.
Golden saucer theme.
Anyway, Dallin, thank you very kindly. You have yourself a good morning, and of course, it's always good to have you back.
Yeah, pleasure being here as always. And yeah, I think Heretic Woman has taken care of the entire Canadian content of the atheist movement on the internet. So the CBC would be proud, and yeah.
So you have nothing to plug?
Nothing yet, but except, well, this show, obviously. And yeah, I'll be back next week.
Well, it's a good thing.
And I should say thank you to Richard Carrier for a wonderful talk and evening last night. We had a lot of fun.
Very cool. Chris, thank you very kindly, and you have yourself a good morning, too. Enjoy your Sunday.
I will do, and hopefully I will have my clock set appropriately for next week.
Well, I sincerely hope so. I'll explain in a moment. And Bridget, thank you very kindly, hon. And yeah, should I tell everybody in a couple of moments, or would you like to?
What about next week?
Yes.
Yes. Next week, Aaron Ra is going to come hang out with us.
Woo!
Hey.
Nice.
Yep. Thanks to thanks to Bridget. First off,
Hells yeah.
we've got a particular topic that we'll be hanging with our alarm about.
He's going to be talking about education.
Wait,
good.
that guy who was talking just now wasn't Aaron Ra faking a British accent?
No.
His hair's not long enough, Nick.
Nice.
He's got a ponytail going on, though.
Yeah.
A
Very
man bun.
nice.
So, Bridget, thank you very kindly for your time, and very, very much for helping to get Aaron on with us for next week.
Welcome.
And I should remind myself, and I'm trying really hard to remember, as he has described it, if you take the initials for registered nurse and pronounce the letters, that's my name.
Aaron.
So I'm Aaron.
Aaron.
And I'm trying really, really hard to remind myself because we, a couple of us know someone whose name is double A, Aaron, and that's what I've gotten used to. So I'm trying really hard to remember it's Aaron. Oh God, this is gonna suck. The first time I mispronounce it because I'm gonna be so starstruck. So fucking suck.
We'll coach you. It's okay.
Next week.
I'm sorry, Dal.
we'll postpone the drinking game till next week. Every time you screw up the name, we all take a drink.
Fuck me, man.
Oh, I'm getting a brand new bottle of vodka for that.
Actually, on second thought, maybe it should be every time you get it right, we take a drink, because statistically, maybe we'll not all be suffering from alcohol poisoning.
We'll have to see.
My liver will thank me.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
have to
only
see.
good
We
for
may need
one
to
bottle
switch
at a
halfway
time.
through, depending on how the drinking's going.
Look at me. I've got the one tear going down my face now. Thank you so much.
No, you missed it, Jude. It should be something more like this.
Yeah, I didn't miss that trick. It's just, you know what, I'm too tired. That's the longest figure. It takes too much.
Somebody played the theme to Incredible Hulk television series when Bruce Banner was walking away down the road.
No. Said Hulk
I'm
music.
showing my now.
Any case, we need to get our ass out of here.
To play that whenever that should be like a bonus right there, Nick. Have that thing queued up so whenever one of the anti-abortionists end up leaving the site, you can play it on a big set of stereo speakers and walk away.
Has there ever been a song made for "Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away"?
Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood album.
Yeah,
I'm sure we can find it.
Or,
But,
just the whole na 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 hey hey goodbye.
yes, that would be Steam 1969. Why do I know that? Because I'm a
Because you're
goddamn
DJ.
professor. Fuck y'all.
Remember
I know my
the Nylons did a cover version of it several years later.
Yes, they did.
And they did.
Yes,
It was
they
a
did.
kick-ass version too. So if you don't know the Nylons,
we could do a comforting song, "Don't Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult.
I really don't know what to do with that. If you would like to contact the show at any time, please, by all means, feel free. You can drop us a message at podcast@holycrapthevlogcast.com. The webpage, of course, is holycrapthevlogcast.com, and we've got links over there for all of the social media from over there. It's either / holycrapthevlogcast, or in the case of Twitter, it's at holycraptv, because reasons.
Jenny, it's Kiko.
What?
I can't type in the Q&A, but tell Jenny it's Kiko.
You just did.
I just did.
Yes, because we're still on yet. I didn't close it.
Because we're still live.
Right. If you'd like to drop us some messages, please, by all means, feel free. If you'd like to send a voicemail message and work the system in, no, Tech, not you, that didn't count. The phone number there is 859-HCTV-554. Again, 859-4288-554.
If you'd like to drop us a deuce, just use the bathroom.
Don't do that. I don't have biological things and whatnot. I want to finish off with a piece of information that I've been dropping during my DJ sets at the very close at this point, because it's very germane right now. This time of the season, it is all too likely that you should be, pardon me, it is much more needed this time of year to be careful, more careful than normal, while out driving on the highways and byways, especially if you're coming to highway overpasses. Because this is the season when jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins are out in public where almost anyone can grab them, someone will. And will be cute and lob them over highway overpasses. I helped out with something called Pumpkin Patrol out here in the Western New York area for several years to help out with the ham radio community to make sure that nobody was doing that at various overpasses here on the New York State Thruway. Please, if you are out driving at night and you see people who are walking around in groups that have a gourd for some strange unknown reason, stop. Flash your brights at them. Honk your horn. Don't engage the people, but make it known that they are being observed. Call the local constabulary if you have to, but please, please, just making it known that they are being observed is usually enough to get them to just Move along. Move along. Because a 2, 4, 5 kilogram gourd falling at gravitational speeds into oncoming traffic is deadly. During the training, we saw some of the pictures of the aftermath. It's not pretty. Even glancing blows are enough to make people swerve and go over. Please be careful. Please be careful. We want you coming back.
And for those who needed the English broken down into simpler words, by Gordon and by constabulary, he's police.
Yes.
And I trust that the people who are watching our show know full well. But in any case,
You never know.
as always, we thank you for your time. I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And as always, say my good nights for all of you. And say my good nights for my lady too, because 10 years on, I am still in love. Matane Fujin, I love you and I miss you. Dream of me. Even though we didn't mention it, by the way, Zandy, feel better. And of course, for all of you, until next week when we get together once again, good night.